everyone, welcome along to another VCO Esports studio with myself, Ben Constanduros, on a brand new time schedule for this summer, the Tuesday evening slot rather than our Monday evening slot, which just gives us a bit more time to chat to the very best in the world of sim racing. And of course, the idea being the crossover between real and virtual. And that crossover this weekend has been highlighted massively by our friends at SRO, who hosted for the first time, I think, on Assetto Corsa Competizione, the official 24 hours of Spa. And much like its real world counterpart, it was won by Ferrari. And Ferrari haven't really won Spa for a long time, and they got 2 victories in 2 weeks. The virtual version taken victory by Loreto, Salvo, and the man we've got this evening, David Tonizza. Thank you very much for joining us, David.
Ciao, Ben. Thank you.
It's so cool to have David Tonizza on because, yes, he is the same David Tonizza that won a few years ago the F1 Esports Championship as well. And we're going to talk a bit about that. We're going to talk a little bit about the ACC platform and just representing Ferrari as an Italian. First of all, this weekend, have you recovered yet, David? Are you still tired?
Yeah, a little bit tired. I had a long sleep yesterday, but it's still not enough.
Because the preparation as well for doing a 24-hour race is quite intense, right?
Yeah, it is. We need to prepare a lot of things. Just think about the length of the race, which is 24 hours. You need to prepare the tire pressure for every single stint and for every single condition. So just by thinking about that, you need to do a lot of hours of training. Then you need to make a setup for the quali, a setup for the race, a setup that may work also for the rain, because in the 24 hour we had some rain. So the work and the dedication is really high.
Yeah, and the dedication absolutely massive because, as you say, the rain element, a unique part of the 24 hours on Assetto Corsa Competizione, and something kind of unique in sim racing in comparison to what we see on other platforms, David.
Yeah, of course, the rain, we don't see usually the rain in other simulators, but here on ACC there is, and it's really well made because you can really feel the track slippery when you're racing. All the marbles on the external part of the track. It's something that is really well made in my opinion. And of course, when it comes to have some rain, you need to prepare a different setup because of course the car is even more unstable, and you need to make a stable one to complete the race. You can't afford to spin during a race, actually.
And actually, when we watch 24, or certainly the 24 hours that I've watched, sim racers are so able to calculate exactly what's going to happen during a 24-hour race that there doesn't seem to be that many mistakes that creep in. But it did strike me on the Assetto Corsa Competizione 24 Hours of Spa that even the very best were having little errors, and certainly the traffic and the rain threw in unpredictabilities that we might not necessarily see in other sim racing.
Yeah, of course, when you think about a real 24 hour, you think about engine reliability. So you can have a lot of issues with the car during the race. Here in sim racing, we don't have, let's say, random issues. But of course, we are running on PCs and monitors, so everything can happen. That's basically our reliability. And yeah, the grid was really competitive, but still not enough to not see any mistake, because the race is really long, it's really tiring. So doing a mistake is something that can happen really often, actually.
But you guys really limited the amount of mistakes you had, and in fact, by the end, had a decent advantage at the flag.
Yeah, of course, many people don't know this, but we didn't have the car which was the fastest, actually, because you see that we started in P13 during the qualifying, but we managed to not do any single mistake, or at least minor ones, and we brought the car to the victory without crashing or having anything. So that was the key to the success. And at the end of the race, of the competition, that's the main key. You need to be consistent and not do any mistake.
And discipline really seems to be key in FDA Esports, in the Ferrari Driver Academy team that you are part of. It does seem like you're trained hard and you need to keep a discipline and keep a cool head when perhaps, as you say, your car is not the fastest on the track.
Yeah, of course, we put a lot of training into this, and we know that we can win some races, we can't. So in others, so we need to let's say limit all the damage. But of course, we are always at our best. So during a race, we know that everything can happen. So we need to be prepared for every single one and to exploit every single millisecond from the car. And that was the result. We saw that the car wasn't the fastest, but we still won the race.
So why has Ferrari decided to get involved in this SRO supported championship? Because ultimately the FDA Esports grew out of forming a team for F1 Esports. Ferrari had their own championship on Assetto Corsa, but for you to be kind of leading the challenge and leading the championship in the sprint series and now in the endurance series as well, it seems like a huge undertaking from Ferrari themselves.
Yeah, of course. Our main competition is the F1 Esports, as you mentioned. But during the after the Pro Series, we don't really have anything to do if you think about that. So that's why we subscribed, let's say, to these competitions, because we want to keep the training going on, and we want to be prepared also for the other competitions. So that's why we wanted to do the SRO, both endurance and sprint series, and we did it also last year. So until like September, it's okay. Then of course the F1 Esports season goes underway. So we need to focus and concentrate on that. But during the break, we need to do something, and that's what we are doing.
So your ACC championship, I think now goes on till November, but you'll have that F1 building and ramping up from now until September. So how does that work for you? Will you try and get enough points in ACC to win the championship and then stop for those last couple of rounds and fully focus on F1, or do a shared program when it comes to the end of the year?
Well, of course, when we will be training most of the time on F1, we'll still dedicate a little bit on ACC. So training will be there for sure.
Okay.
But of course, we don't have F1 now, so we need to gain as much points as possible right now. And then when we will be training for F1, we will just give our maximum, and we will try to afford as many points as possible. But of course, lots of training is put into this, so we will try to make our best to get also the results on ACC.
I imagine the feel between ACC and F1 is quite different.
Yeah, quite a lot. Of course, F1 year by year is becoming more and more a sim and not an arcade game. But of course, ACC is just something unbelievable. I tried a lot of different simulators, but that one is the most accurate I've ever tried, and I must be honest on this.
So F1 Esports then, let's talk a little bit about that. Obviously, Ferrari didn't take part in the initial year, and then in the next year suddenly appeared with this Italian legend and goes and wins a championship for Italy, driving for Ferrari. It must be absolutely incredible to represent Ferrari at the very highest level in motorsport.
Yeah, it's been really amazing because you mentioned the first year the esports Ferrari project wasn't there, and they want to open it the year later. And of course, I was doing a lot of competitions on AC and on ACC. So I think that's where Ferrari noticed me. And during the F1 Esports Pro Draft, I got picked. And then during the season, we didn't expect that result at all, because of course we were training really hard, but everyone was new in this world, let's say. So we said, okay, we are giving our best. We will try to win some races, gain as much points as possible. But then we ended up winning the championship. So that was something really unexpected, in my opinion.
And your competitions, therefore, before you ended up training for the Pro Draft, were not in F1. They were in other platforms, were they?
Yeah, of course, I was already racing on F1, but not in the F1 Esports series, just in some community league races. And
Okay.
yeah, in the meantime, of course, I was training on AC and ACC, because the most important competitions were there. So I wanted, of course, to get noticed by some team, and I got noticed by Ferrari. So
It's very true, actually. In Italy, many of you might not know this, but Italy has a very, very strong attachment to ACC and AC. So very high level competitions in Italy, especially, happen on that platform. Let's talk about this year then, David, because I feel like Ferrari have got some kind of super team going on. They've got a two-time world champion and yourself as a one-time world champion. Side by side, you've been joined by Brendan Lee, and not only joined in the virtual team, but also Brendan's come over to Maranello to live the Ferrari lifestyle.
yeah, I must say that this year lineup will, well, at least right now, it's really interesting because I think it's the only one with both drivers having won the F1 Esports. So we've
Oh
got
yeah.
the amazing experience of Brandon because he used to work in another team, so we know how he used to work with other people, and we can exploit that to improve also our team. And then talking about performances, well, of course, Brandon is insanely fast, and me last year, unfortunately, we had actually some issues with a competition, but the pace was there. So this year, F1 Esports will be really, really interesting, in my opinion.
How is it actually having a teammate that lives so closely with you? Because so many of these teams are virtual. You never really spend any time with your teammates, but you guys have created like almost a house, right?
Yeah, it's a completely different thing, in my opinion, because when you are just racing online, all you do is hearing his voice, and you can actually see him in real life. But here with the house and with the esports training facility, we just see each other hours every single day, and we can share a lot of moments also during our life. So it's something that creates a different relationship that when we go on track makes the work, let's say, less stressful, because training for 6 hours per day in front of a screen is really stressful. Don't get me wrong. And living all in the same house, it's something that helps in this particular case.
That's really interesting. I was not aware that you guys were living together. So Ferrari have not just got you guys as a team, but actually given you a training facility to work in as well.
Yeah, of course, when we uh, don't train, everyone is at home doing his business, actually. But of course, during the training schedule, we are there in the facility with me, Brandon, our coach. Well, our coach is not there training with us, but just in Discord, because of course he can't move to see all our trainings. But yeah, we do everything together, and we enjoy it a lot.
So outside of sitting on a sim and driving, what else does Ferrari bring to you? I can see they've made you a red duvet cover as well on your bed.
uh, yeah, basically when most of the work is in the training facility, then when we are off from the training, everyone does what he feels it's good to do. And for example, we have the weekend free, so during the weekend we just relax, chill a little bit, and it's really important in this work to have a break between the training, because it's really, really stressful, and many people don't know that uh, how hard it is to concentrate every single day in front of a screen. Many people doesn't know this.
Yeah. Okay, let's talk about you as an Italian, growing up as a kid, clearly loving motorsport and therefore associated and loving Ferrari, and now living kind of in Ferrari, if you like. What's the emotions? How do you pinch yourself sometimes and think, "Gosh, this is like a dream"?
Yeah, it's something that you can't really describe. You can just live it. And of course, I'm really passionate to motorsports since I was a kid. So being able to represent Ferrari, even not in a real track, but in a virtual one, is something that lots of people would pay for. And I'm really proud of this. And I'm happy to share all my experiences and successes with the Ferrari, because it's not the it's not like other teams. This is a family, and I think lots of drivers that joined Ferrari demonstrate this, and I'm not the only one saying.
I think that's an Italian thing as well. I've worked with many different Italian companies over the years, or companies generally, and the Italians do it like a family. You always are so warm and welcomed into everything, and it's just incredible to be part of it. And I can't imagine what it's like to be part of the family of Ferrari, that must have also massive ambitions to what they're doing with the driver academy and the esports project. So what are the kind of the things you're looking forward to moving forward? Obviously, you've got the F1, you've got ATC to finish, but ultimately, any big competition that comes up, I presume Ferrari wants to put a stamp on it.
Yeah, right now we just have the F1 Esports at the end of the year and the SRO until November. We still don't know what competition will come up in the next few years. Of course, if there will be one, and it will be really important, we will be there trying to win, of course. And yeah, we just train really hard every single day, and then when the team says, okay, there's this competition, we are down to have all the practice needed, and then of course we will try to win that.
It's a bit weird going backwards, and my interview technique is very poor asking this question, but your very best ever event, F1 Esports or virtual 24 hours of Le Mans working alongside Formula One drivers?
No, this is a weird one, because I know that it should be F1 Esports when I won the title. But in my opinion, my best competition was the F1 Esports Pro Draft, because I wasn't in the team yet, and I had to demonstrate that I was able to race for Ferrari. So that was my occasion. That was the race, and I think that's the moment I enjoyed the most during sim racing. But yeah, of course, then I won the F1 Esports title, so that counts as well. But yeah, in my opinion, the F1 Esports Pro Draft, when I got picked, was the best sim racing achievement for me.
But a personal experience, surely being able to babysit Charles Leclerc and Anton Giovinazzi into sim racing when they really didn't have any much experience at all, must have been quite special for you.
Yeah, they're really fast actually, because they're really fast on the real track. But if they put a lot of training also on the simulators, they can be really, really fast. And we saw that during lockdown, because they were training all the days. And with a lot of training, we saw that they were reaching our lap times, and that demonstrated that also real livers can be actually really, really good at the sim, and vice versa, because we are looking also at the different thing, which is the from sim to virtual. We saw a lot of sim drivers going into the real world and winning races. So I think all of this is strictly related.
Is that something you'd like to do in the future, David? Do you think you can go into Ferrari and see if they can give you a challenge car to do some real racing?
Well, of course, if I will have the possibility, yes, why not? I joined the sim racing world because I couldn't go on with the real one. So if I will have the possibility, yes, why not?
Awesome. David, thank you very much for chatting to us. I know it's time for the holidays in Italy, so you want to get back to home and have some time off before the real graft begins. It's been great to talk to you, and thank you for everyone at Ferrari for allowing this conversation to happen.
Thank you, Ben. Ciao, ciao.
David Tonizza, one-time F1 Esports champion and on course to being a multiple champion on the ATC platform as well, where, I didn't realise this, he all began. So you can watch him on many different races across the weekends on various different platforms, and of course F1 Esports coming up at the end of the year. That's been another VCO Esports studio for you. Next week, Tuesday evening, remember, 8 o'clock, we'll have another guest. Don't know who it will be, but it'll sure be interesting and exciting. But for now, thank you very much and enjoy your sim racing. Bye-bye.